Hi everyone, Joshua Curving here to give you another Death Battle prediction video, this time for Isabella Valentine versus Orchid. Before that though, let me just address the last battle. For my previous video, I stated Ryu was the clear-cut winner, and after it's all said and done, I still stand by that statement. Death Battle neglected to include several abilities and feats, from a time stop to a survival of an extremely powerful explosion. They also included Marvel vs. Capcom for actual abilities, which is silly, considering MVC is very clearly non-canon to the Strider universe. Now, let me address their calculation that allowed them to hand the victory to Strider for speed. That calculation is entirely bullshit. Apparently Wiz and Boomstick have no idea how an anti-aircraft gun works, because they gave an automatic rifle the same muzzle velocity as a massive turret-like weapon. An AA gun works by using radar to determine the speed and trajectory of a target and fire where they are likely to be. The bullet has no speed boost from this action alone. That said, if he managed to just outrun the Shadow Tag rounds, then it's a pretty crappy radar system. But no, he was actually moving back and forth extremely quickly, something that would confuse the hell out of the radars and make them fire in completely random directions. The speed, as I said before in my video, would be pretty much even, considering both of them react to and move their bodies to counter bullets. Additionally, they didn't include his Art of the Black Hole or even mention Vigor. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on the last battle, though the animation was very good as I predicted, I'll admit that. Now then, Ivy versus Orchid. My reaction upon seeing this fight was something like this. This goes back to the past mistakes in Death Battle that I've mentioned. You may notice this episode is not nearly as long as my last one, and you'll soon see why. Ivy from Soul Calibur is one of the poster girls of the series in it since the days of arcade Soul Calibur 1, and has been in every single Soul game since, including Soul Calibur Legends and the one for the PSP. Orchid, the poster girl of Killer Instinct, has been in each Killer Instinct game, though there have only been 2 with a third one coming out soon. First, as usual, I go into the physical statistics. Ivy's strength, speed, and durability are somewhat hard to define considering the status as a balanced fighting game. All characters manage to shrug off multiple full impalements, and most can lift enemies the size of Astaroth and Rock with absolutely no issues. So what we mostly look at are cutscenes and legends, the parts that stray the most from that type of equality. Strength for Ivy is decently superhuman, as she's capable of driving an extremely powerful dragon to retreat with a single hit in her Legends introduction. She's also capable of taking down those dragons on her own, something far larger than Orchid has ever faced. Speed, in my opinion, is the complete and utter game changer in this fight. I think Soul Calibur 2, Cervantes shoots at Ivy, who deflects the bullet with a kick. Let that sink in for a second. She can react to and kick a bullet. That alone gives her subsonic reactions and leg speed, if not supersonic, due to the likely model in Cervantes' sword. Now, her durability is odd. She can survive many different types of attacks, from impalement to fire, to ice to energy blasts, and I should probably mention here she managed to resist Soul Edge quite a few times, meaning she has some form of natural magic resistance. Other than that, it's fairly hard to define any stats definitively. Okay, Orchid next. She has very few strength feats. Most of Killer Instinct actually lacks notable ones. She can tase an enemy to ashes, turn an enemy into a frog by hitting them, and turn into a fire cat. Really though, she hasn't displayed anything truly outstanding in strength, and nothing in her speed is outstanding beyond a normal martial artist either. I'll give her some credit for durability though, as she can survive the same types of attacks as Ivy, though lacks the soulfuck resistance that Ivy has. So next I'll touch upon Orchid's abilities. She can fire 2 little fireballs across the stage, as well as various kicks and cartwheels that make up her core moveset. She can also turn into a fire cat, giving her probably a bit more speed and likely an enemy type that fewer are used to fighting. Her taser is a finishing move, meaning exactly how much damage it does is unknown, but it immediately chars the body of the victim, so it's probably pretty strong. Another attack, one that I pretty actively dislike, mind you, is that when she strikes the stunned enemy, turning them into a frog, and then she steps on them. What a stupid attack. Now, the thing with most of Orchid's attacks is that they're fully melee-based, with the exception of her fireball. Orchid's whole moveset seems to be melee-bound. In experience, Orchid has some time against few powerful enemies, but her best would probably be Idol and Gargos. Both have solid experience, but Idol was in a severely weakened state, as said in-game, and Gargos is a pretty featless wonder, especially given that he's been sealed away 6 or 7 times, which in that universe means that he's gotten his ass kicked about 6 or 7 times. On the flip side of that, Ivy has several attacks that reach across the level, from powerful thrusts to surprise impalement from the ground to an attack that goes over the enemy guard. Ivy is very well suited to fighting both at range and in close. You know what else Ivy can do? She can immobilize enemies with magic and obliterate their shit with Valentine, her sword. Speaking of which, Ivy's oddly named sword is actually alive. The chunks of it can move on their own, similar to Spawn's chains. As a funny little side note, Ivy has actually fought both Spawn and Kratos, as well as Link, Hayachi, Darth Vader, Yoda, Ezio Auditore, Starkiller, etc., meaning her weapon is fully capable of blocking a lightsaber. Somehow. And I'm not actually sure how they're going to mix in the guest characters, because in the Soul Calibur universe, it is quite clearly stated that their swords can block lightsabers. Anyway, back on track. Valentine can move in many ways that make for a very unpredictable fighter, as a whip is an exceptionally hard weapon to dodge or block. She can even make like a bow shape with the blade and fire a piece at her enemies. It's weird and kind of hard to explain. The next advantage that Ivy very clearly has is experience. She stopped aging in her 30s and is now about 50 with an artificial soul that she created. In that time, she has fought absurdly powerful enemies like Nightmare, Inferno, Abyss, Iska, Algol, and her own gun-toting father even. She has experience fighting people who have toppled entire armies and gained legendary status. Also of note, Orchid uses tonfas. Now, who else uses those? Talum, a character in Soul Calibur, though I'm not exactly sure what canon says about if Ivy and Talum have fought, so I'll say it this way. There is a chance that Ivy has experience fighting against enemies with tonfas, while Orchid lacks any experience fighting an enemy like Ivy, except possibly the trickiness of Glacis' attacks. So, who should win? Very, very obviously Ivy. But who's going to win? Orchid. Riptor lost his fight, so they're very clearly going to want to make it up to the Killer Instinct fans, even though Yoshi entirely deserved that fight. Hitting an enemy so hard that they fly into space and explode into a star system tends to win matches. Additionally, Killer Instinct 3 is coming out soon, while the Soul franchise has been ended with the god-awful Soul Calibur 5. This gives Killer Instinct more relevance, and that may sway them towards Orchid. However, I could be wrong, and Death Battle might give Ivy the win she very clearly deserves here, but no, it's more likely that they're going to give Orchid the win because of her absolutely bullshit, stupid, arbitrary finishers. For now, though, we wait and see. Anyway, this was Josh Curving on another Death Battle prediction video. Thank you very much for watching, everyone.